It's just not okay for kids to commit murder by coming to school without a mask. And when it comes down to it, it's possible. They will cause a death of another child because they come to school without a mask.
This woman is absolutely hysterical, anti-science, and illogical, and she should not be sitting in a school board, much less within 200 yards of a school. This is not someone who follows science. It's a neurotic adult who doesn't care anything about kids. And this is what is giving rise to these minute moms and these dads. Not only are they taking on their school boards, but they're beginning to pull their kids out of public schools across the country. Take a look at this statistic. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, at least 5 million parents in the United States have decided to homeschool. This is up from 3.2 million in early 2020. Now, like I said, parents might put up with some DEI lecture about their quote-unquote white privilege at their corporation. They may watch riots on the television by Marxist organizations like BLM and shake their head and get on with their day. And they might watch the CDC lie or flip-flop back and forth and on the coronavirus. And some might even get the vaccine, their choice, even against their choice to get it or not to get it, just to ensure that they can bring home a paycheck to take care of their family if they're forced to by work. But come after the kids with this stuff? Yeah, no, the teachers' unions and school boards are making a serious miscalculation. So what's happening now are grassroots, parent-led organizations. They're coming together, much like in the original Tea Party days, growing like wildfire across the country. This is the most common ground issue in the country. Coalitions of parents that are multi-ethnic and party agnostic, but they all share one thing in common. They're not going to have their kids terrorized by teachers' unions and school boards who don't care what they think, nor do they follow science with masks. But back to Williamson County, Tennessee, it's important to point out that the school board had allegedly already made up their minds before the meeting to reinstitute masks for elementary school children. So parents knew that the board had already made their decision on masking their kids. That was why they were so frustrated in the beginning. Not only that, though, Williamson County School Board started talking very assumptively about how all of the kids will be getting vaccinated and then the masks can come off. And if this school board thought parents were mad about the masks, well, they haven't seen anything yet. Vaccinating little kids for a virus that is virtually zero threat to them, according to all of the science. I know many parents that will never vaccinate their kids, at least not until there's far more understood about these new vaccines. Here's Dan Cash, one of the few sane Williamson County board members, pointing out how crazy the assumptions about vaccinating children are. Watch.
Everybody's talking about the age group and waiting for them to get vaccinated. What makes anyone on this board think parents are going to go out and vaccinate children in elementary school?
Exactly. Board member Dan Cash is simply pointing out the elephant in the room, that many moms and dads are just not going to allow their kids to be vaccinated. Vaccinated assumes and intimates inoculation, and yet we've heard from the CDC's own Rochelle Walensky that this is not so much an inoculation as it is simply a management of the severity of symptoms. Well, that sounds like a therapeutic, not a vaccination. Maybe we should use a different word. And if the school board's all talking like vaccinations in the offing for these kids, and then after the vax, they can remove their masks. Yeah, if they thought parents were mad about masks on their kids, do they really think that parents are going to be fine with having a brand new vaccine, one that they still have questions about, and one that's proven, at least this virus with kids? Kids are not driving the transmission rate, nor are school super spreader hubs. I mean, what do they think? Do you think parents weren't going to get angry? This is not over the top. I mean, I think you're going to see a mass walkout of these schools. Parents are just not going to do it, period. Williamson County schools, it should be noted, they're also bringing critical race theory now via a DEI consultancy. And if they thought the parents were mad about masks, Katie barred the door, y'all haven't seen nothing yet. Masks, new vaccines that no one can ask questions about that are really kind of therapeutics, Marxist ideologies imposed on the kids whose parents haven't approved of any of this and will not consent. Yeah, there was a tyrannical package of policies that the Democrat Party thought they could just impose on America after President Biden assumed the White House following the election and the controversy preceding it. The problem is that now the rubber's meeting the road as these policies are being forced onto their kids. Parents are they're not going to have their boys told that they can be girls or vice versa. They're not going to have their kids told that their kids are oppressors, that they're oppressors by virtue of something they can't control, skin color. And they're not going to have their kids masked and then demand that they be injected with a new vaccine that we're still discovering the efficacy of. So if you've pushed America's parents off the sidelines, Well, you finally pushed them into the fight. Well done, teachers' unions and school boards. You just radicalized an entire militia of minute moms and dads. And you thought the Minutemen fought hard for freedom from tyranny the first time. Wouldn't you see what happens when you make moms mad? People who don't want to get involved in the fight, when they get involved in the fight, you're going to wish they hadn't been. The reaction is going to make what happened to, Leonardo DiCaprio's character in The Revenant look like a picnic in the forest. So remember that grizzly bear, that mama grizzly bear, and what she did when she thought her cubs were threatened? It wasn't pretty. The most dangerous place in the world is between a parent and their child. I got a word for parents, though, who are ready to join the fight. It's going to cost you, just as it cost the original Minutemen. Freedom is responsibility. A republic demands your civic participation. It requires it. We fell asleep, and here you have all of this garbage that came right into our communities. Marxism decided to go after our kids because we never did anything about it before. Well, some of us didn't. And because honestly, people believed in their fellow man, I think believed in their institutions. Now we're getting a wake-up call with all of this. And we're actually in another revolution right now. This is all of the debate and arguing and exchange of ideas that precedes other things that can happen. But this is a new revolution that the United States is in. And if we're gonna win, and we're gonna win because we're everyday parents, just like those everyday Minutemen that won their freedom the first time from an oppressive British regime that stopped representing its people, just like these school boards have stopped representing their communities. But look, be ready. Freedom's not cheap. You're gonna pay a price. You're gonna pay with your time, your emotion, long hours of effort. And sometimes you'll wonder if it's worth it. But freedom is worth it, especially for our kids. And fighting for our kids, it's definitely worth it. No one else is gonna do this fight for us. Don't wait for the Republican Party. If you won't pick up some boxing gloves, rhetorically speaking, and fight for your kids, who else will? It's part of parenting, and we got to get in the battle ourselves. Remember, it was the everyday people that freed America the first time, and it will have to be everyday people that do it again, the minute moms and dads. So lay down the lives of leisure and distraction, and be willing to put yourself on the line for kids and country. Phone bank, raise money, go door to door, canvass, and make sure you get out the vote, get people registered. Run for school board. Because these people that have decided to use our kids as political experiments, I haven't seen anything yet. And everyday people, you just now got them into the fight.